This is a quick overview of your 2017 T compost spraying trailer. So trailer itself, 7,000 pound rated, 2-axle electric brakes, trailer breakaway system, has federal VIN number and certificate of origin, DOT lighting package. You've got an adjustable hitch up here in front. That is a 2 5/16 ball like we spoke about yesterday. You got a pipe mount jack, so you just pop that pin, rotate it to 90 degrees, and crank it up or down for up or down. Hitch is vertically adjustable. You just want to adjust it to your tow vehicle and have the trailer sitting essentially level across the trailer. Sometimes it's nice to have it sitting a little bit high rather than sitting a little bit low in the front. Okay, we also gave you the polyurea coating. This was actually sprayed on by Line-X, so it's one of the best, most durable finishes in the industry. You've got your, I believe it's currently rated at 5.5 horsepower. Used to be the 6.5 horsepower, but it's the largest motor that this Udor pump can handle. GX200 Honda and the Udor GR85 pump. So now on the pump, all the pump and motor operations will be covered in the operator's manuals that come from the manufacturers themselves. You've got a couple sight glasses, sight glass there, another sight glass there. You know, those are just to visually check your oil fill location or fill levels. On the Honda pump, you've got the oil filler there with a dipstick in it as well. Okay, one thing we do recommend on almost all of our gas-powered motors, if you plan on storing them for long periods of time, make sure that you install a fuel stabilizer like Sta-Bil. Current fuels varnish very fast and go bad very quickly. That is 99% of the issues that we've had with our motors. People store them for 6 months with old fuel in them. It'll varnish, and then they've got a long, tedious process of trying to get fresh gas into the motors and get that varnish out. Really, other than that, we really haven't had any motor problems. Up on top is your 12-volt electric hose reel, 400 foot of 600 psi hose. Like I said, we've got this is just a 1/2 inch cap over a 1/2 inch iron pipe thread, so you can attach your hose there. Also has the roller fair leads there. Up here on the upper corner, all this will be covered on the actual owner's manual. Up here on this upper corner is a lock for transport, so you tighten that up. Just make sure you loosen that up when you go to actually use the hose or reel it up. Okay, so we got the lock there. We got inside here our latch and gas shock compartment. So there's the battery. Gave you an extra, an oversized battery for the hose reel. It's charged off of both the truck and the pump. So anytime that you're pumping, it'll be charging the battery. Okay, and that there's also a 60 amp fuse right there on top that runs the charging, not the charging system, that runs the cranking system in case there's ever a catastrophic failure. It is recessed latch and lockable. We gave you 2 keys with that. Front tank is your 100-gallon tank. There are the fill level markings here. Kind of hard to see, but they're marked in 10-gallon increments. Rear tank is a 335. And it's marked back here on the back. Back here in the back is the 2-inch, just a 2-inch drain, just for draining the system. And you also have your 2-inch cam lock. We also gave you, this guy right here is a spring-loaded check valve. That way when you're drafting off of your tank, really the only liquid that should come out of here when you pull this cap off is the liquid trapped in this portion. Normally it would flow until you got hooked up to it. But in this, with this, it should be a pretty good system where you pop that off, minimal lossage, and should be good to go. Like I said, DOT lighting package. Gallons are marked on the back of that. Both of these lids, make sure if you're in transport, you tighten them up tight. They're just like an ice chest lid. If they're not tight, they'll fly off on the freeway, and the plastic tether that holds them will not hold. Tank is mounted through the top rail there. Okay, then over here on this side, we've got this is where all the plumbing and all the valving is. Down inside of here, you can see one gate valve here. That's the suction off of the 335-gallon tank. One gate valve here, that's the suction off the 100-gallon tank. So if you want to partially suck off the back one and suck full flow off the front, open this one up all the way, open this one up a portion, vice versa, open them both up, only draft off the front, keep the 335 closed all the way, open the front one all the way, and vice versa with that. Okay, so now also for mixing the fluids, you have two ball valves down here. The rearward ball valve actuates a recirculating line to the rear tank. The front ball valve actuates a recirculating line to the front tank. So if you want to recirculate between the two tanks and have an even mixture, you'd open up both ball valves, open up both gate valves, turn both of these on, and it's just going to constantly recirculate between both tanks, suck from both tanks, and make it to where you have an even mixture. Third ball valve here actuates for the hose reel, so you can isolate the hose reel. If you have to do a repair, have a blown hose, something like that, you can turn it off there, turn it on just like that. Okay, like I said, there's the hose reel, and it is a 12-volt electric hose reel. Now underneath here, you have the ignition switch, standard ignition switch, key on, crank to start, return it to key on position, and it'll stay running. You also have a breaker here that if tripped, if for some reason in the starting system there's a problem, it'll trip the breaker. Just push it back in to reset the breaker. And this front button is the hose reel button. So if you hit that button, it's gonna hit the hose reel. You can see, so I'm just tapping it. We located that in a spot where you can hopefully hit it with your left hand and rewind the hose with your right hand from this side of the trailer. Everything's set up off the passenger side of the trailer, because typically if you pull up to a curb, you don't want to be standing out in the driving lane. You want to be standing on the curb side. Okay, the pump, very, very important according to the operator's manual. I've never used one of these pumps before, but they tell you absolutely under no circumstances try to start the motor with pressure on the pump. This is a pressure relief valve. Up position is pressurized, down is no pressure, pressure relieved to the system. So in order to start, you want to push this in the all the way down position, and what we've done is we've made it to where we've been turning this valve on, which pressurizes that block of valves back here, and we've been opening these. That way those flow directly into the tanks. If you're trying to isolate one from the other, stuff like that, obviously the recirculating line here in the front will be enough. That's this guy right here. There's a 3/4 recirculating line, so that'll dump the pressure off of it. But as an added precaution, we've been opening these ones as well to crank to start, just for our own peace of mind. But obviously the manufacturer knows what they're talking about. So they're talking, have this in the all the way down position. It says, it shows it on the front, actually lists it. Pressure up, no pressure down. So put that all the way down, crank it up, start it, and you're off and running. Lift this, pressure will build. You'll see pressure build on the gauge, and you can adjust the pressure with this. Turn it out, less pressure. Turn it in, more pressure. I would try to keep it as low a pressure as needed for specific applications, because the higher pressure will be harder on the pump and harder on all of the plumbing. So try to keep it as low as possible, but obviously if you need 300 or 200 and some psi, you crank that up to spray real high distances, stuff like that. Motor standard operation up here. You got fuel shut off down here, choke here, and throttle here. Normally on all of our pumps we try to run the throttle as low as possible. It's just like anything else. The more RPMs this thing has a life expectancy based off of RPMs. The least amount of RPMs you run, the longer the motor's going to last and the longer the pump's going to last. So we normally try to keep everything just to where it needs to be, minimal amount of RPM for the performance that you're requiring. Next thing, trailer breakaway system. That's just this guy here. If it ever becomes detached like that, all you got to do is just line it back up and pop it back into place. That's in case the trailer becomes detached from the truck. It'll actuate the brakes. Every tow vehicle is different, so you'll have to come up with your own way of fastening it to your vehicle, depending on if your vehicle gave you a spot, didn't give you a spot, what you got. Like I said, that's vertically adjustable, and we have a standard RV style pin here that actuates the brakes and runs the charge controller and all the lights. You'll have to make sure that for the trailer breakaway system that your truck has a charge wire for that system, factory installed. One thing that they never ever install from factory is the fuse for that system. I've never seen a truck that had it installed from factory. Normally you just have to open up your owner's manual, find out which fuse that is, and install the fuse yourself. That way it'll actually charge the system. That's this little box here, has a tiny battery in it that works the trailer brakes when in emergency situations. So that should be a pretty easy overview on your trailer. Any questions, give me a call. Thank you much.